We're chatting with USA Today bestselling author Patricia Davids about her new Harlequin love-inspired release in Amish Noel. Thanks so much for joining us today, Patricia. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me. This is quite a thrill.
Yeah, and hello to all our viewers who we see logging in. I wanted to let everybody know that we've partnered up with Lithographs. They're a great company that specializes in custom tote bags, hats, and t-shirts, and they incorporate the text of your favorite books to their designs. So we have a custom giveaway. It's a Harlequin tote bag, and it has the text from Patricia's and Amish Noel in the background. So it's super awesome. So please enter to win on BookTrib after the chat. You can actually comment on the live chat page to win. So everybody hurry on over after this. And before we start our questions, can you bring us up to speed on an Amish Noel and just tell us, some background and a little bit about the main characters, Emma and Luke?
Sure, I'll be happy to share a little background on the book. This is the second book in the Amish Bachelors series. I
Hmm.
originally based it on a family with five brothers, and
Hmm.
the first brother was actually introduced in the very last book of my Brides of Amish Country series. And so Luke was a secondary character in that one, and uh, for now he's gotten a starring role. He's actually the bad boy of the
Yeah.
group, and I thought he needed a little bit of redemption, and that was a little bit hard to decide how to do that. But Emma figured it out for me, so I didn't have to worry too hard. Yeah, they're it's a second chance romance.
Right.
They knew each other when they were younger and were in love,
Hmm.
and when
Now
he
he's back.
um, yeah, when he came back, then she had to either forgive him or forget him, and forgetting
Right.
him didn't seem to be possible for her.
And we're glad that she didn't because it is a wonderful pair. Now, why did you decide to start writing Amish romances? Did Harlequin, approach you to start the series? Was it your idea? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can tell you about that. My editor
Hmm.
from Harlequin asked me to develop an Amish series for them several years ago, and they said, well, she said, we took a look at our writers and we didn't have anybody in Pennsylvania, Pat, so we thought of you. And I thought, really, because Kansas is so close to Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
we have so many Amish here? No, we don't. We have some, but not many. But I
Hmm.
had just finished a series about the mounted color guard at Fort Riley,
Hmm.
horses and cavalry, and
Hmm.
so maybe that's what inspired them to think of me. And
Yeah.
I said, well, I don't know that much about the Amish. I'll have to do some research, which is my downfall. I love research. I
Oh,
love
awesome.
research. And so after a couple of months, I was able to send them a proposal for three Amish books. And that was the start of the Brides of Amish Country. And
Excellent.
that grew every
Hmm.
time my contract was up. And I said, what would we like to see next? And it was always, oh, I hope you have more Amish for us. And so
Yeah.
I continued writing. They're a very fascinating culture. And
Hmm.
there's always something new and interesting. I always find something interesting when I research a new book. So
Yeah.
it was all my editor's idea, so it wasn't mine. I liked Witness. That was the only Harrison Ford
Yeah.
was so cute, and I really wanted him to stay. I
I
didn't
know,
want him to
right?
leave her, but so that's why my guys always stay.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, during the research, was there anything that you learned that that really surprised you, like that really stuck out?
Ah, yes. What really surprised me is how adaptable the Amish are. You would think that they are very set in their ways. They're but they can't own automobiles, but it's fine to have someone drive you somewhere.
Hmm.
They have a they go to Florida for the winter, some of them, to
Oh, I didn't know. Oh,
uh,
wow.
Pinecrest, Florida. Yeah,
Huh.
get out of that cold weather in Pennsylvania and Ohio. And
Wow.
they have a large Amish community in Florida where
Mhm.
people come for the winters. So that was probably the biggest surprise.
So there's like an Amish community in Florida. Everybody goes to Florida for the winter, huh? Wow,
Yeah,
that's incredible.
they rent a big bus and go down on the bus. So,
Wow.
and they
Amish
don't take their
parties.
horses and buggies. They use the three-wheeled bicycles to get
Oh,
around down
neat.
there. No cars. Yeah,
Wow. Huh. Interesting. Did you ever
I
visit an
know. Isn't
Amish
that weird?
community or was it all like online research? Did you ever go to one and
Um,
see it?
yeah, I have been to several. We have
Cool.
several Amish communities here in Kansas. The
Hmm.
one closest to me is called Yoder, and
Hmm.
it's about 50 miles outside of where I live in Wichita. But this summer I was able to go to Arthur, Illinois, and visit the Amish community there.
Hmm.
And while the majority of my research is done online, I have been able to visit with former Amish or
That's
Amish and
cool.
talk about um, what
And
they do in their daily lives.
yeah, do you tell them that you're researching for a book that you're writing? Are they has anyone read it?
Yes, yes,
Are
and
they
they,
curious?
for the most part, the Amish do not read what I write.
Yeah.
They have their own publishing companies, their own books. Many of them are very well read. It's not
Hmm.
that they are forbidden to have books, but um, when I talk about what their Amish church allows in the books, it may be different from what the person I'm speaking to, their church allows. And so
Right.
they prefer not to expose themselves to um, this kind of
Yeah.
publicity. You know,
Right.
they're
Right.
very shy.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah. So an Amish Noel is obviously it's around Christmas time. So,
Mhm.
while doing your research, what's an Amish Christmas like? What are some of the traditions that they do that we would never do out here in this modern world?
They don't do much to celebrate the holidays. That's what I
Interesting.
find most amazing.
Hmm.
And people love Amish Christmas books, and my publisher would like me to write Christmas books, but the Amish themselves do very little to celebrate the holidays.
Hmm.
They don't even have a religious service that day.
Hmm.
It's a day for being at home and being with the family and um, prayerfully remembering the birth of our Savior and our salvation.
Hmm.
But the children do get a little presents. On Christmas
Hmm.
morning, they may find a gift on their plate for breakfast.
Oh,
Rather than they don't have trees, they don't have a Christmas tree.
right.
A few of the more um, liberal groups will have uh, greenery in the home, but
Yeah.
not a tree and not lights.
Hmm.
So the,
That
the
sounds
bigger
nice.
celebration comes the day after Christmas, and
Oh, okay.
that's for visiting and big family dinners and get together. And all of that winter season
Hmm.
is devoted to visiting because they have such huge families. You may
Right.
spend 3 weeks going to
Oh,
everybody's
yeah.
house to get
Visiting
dinner.
everybody's house. It's like the entire winter season is just filled with
Yes, the entire winter
Christmas
season can
dinners.
be spent visiting. Yeah.
Wow, very interesting. We have a couple questions from our audience. So I'm going to start with Jesse's
Cool.
question. Thank you guys for
Hi,
sending these
Jesse.
through. Hi, Jesse. Jesse wants to know how many books do you try to write each year? Do you have kind of a goal or, are you under contract for a certain amount?
Uh, I try to write between 3 and 4 books a year.
Hmm.
That's pretty much what I can do. I like
Yeah.
to keep books coming out frequently because if you're not on the shelves, people forget who you are.
Mm.
And I have done as many as 5 in a year, but that was really hard.
Yeah.
So
3 to 4 sounds like
3,
plenty
I'm
to
happy
me.
with 3, but I'm excited if I can do 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And how long does it usually take you to write each book? Jesse has another question.
To write a book, well, I procrastinate for approximately 2.5 months, and then I spend a month
And
and a half
research,
writing
you're
furiously.
researching.
I am
Nice.
the queen of procrastination. So
I
it's
can
always I'm always a week past my deadline, and I know my editor is in there banging her head on the wall.
I can identify, everybody does
Yeah.
sometimes. Um, I have a question for in terms of Emma and Luke. When you
Okay.
first had those characters kind of come into your mind, were there any actors or actresses that you thought would be great to play them if this was a movie one day? Is there anybody that like reminds you of the characters?
I think Emma Stone looks like the Emma that I had
Yeah.
have in mind. In fact, I thought the character on the cover looked like her.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody in mind for Luke special. Um, he was more elusive as far as
Yeah.
his physical appearance. Yeah.
Exactly. And when did you first start writing for Love Inspired? Can you take us back to when you first started and kind of how you got to that point?
Oh, how I started writing for Love Inspired. Well,
Yeah.
they're the only publisher who said yes when I sent them a manuscript. Everybody else said no, thank you. And so I started writing seriously for publication back in 1996. That tells you how long it's been. And I started writing secular, and
Hmm.
it wasn't until um, I met a writer named um, uh, Deborah Rainey, and she talked about the inspirational market, and I hadn't
Okay.
known anything about it. And then it was a real light bulb over the head moment. I'd been getting rejections because my heroes were too nice a guy, and I said, okay,
Hmm.
maybe I should be sending my books to where they like nice guys. And so I revamped my fourth completed book for inspirational market and got another round of rejections because I really didn't understand what the market was about. Um, but Joan Marlowe Golan at then Steeple Hills Love Inspired um, sent me a letter, one paragraph about what a great writer I was, and 3 pages about the changes she'd like to see in my manuscript. And um, I spent a year and a half writing that,
Yeah.
and I thought, money, artistic integrity, money. Okay, I'll make the changes. And they purchased my first book, and after that, it
Congrats.
was just snowballed. Every
Wow.
time my contract is up, they say, "Have you got anything else for us?"
Awesome. That's so exciting.
It was.
Um, we have a great question from Kate actually that just came through. If you haven't written this before, have you ever thought about writing a romance between an Amish person and an outsider?
Yes, yes.
That could be
I have
sexy.
a thought of that. And in fact, an Amish Christmas, which was my third
Hmm.
book for in the Brides of Amish Country series, is
Hmm.
about a young man that they find beaten on the side of the road, and he has amnesia.
Mm,
And this Amish family takes him in, and he tries to find out why he was in this community. No
mhm,
one knows him. And so, as they uncover the mystery of his past, well, she begins to, of course, fall in love with him.
mhm.
And ultimately, he decides that he wants to remain Amish.
Yeah.
And so that was how that book ended. But if the woman has been baptized into the Amish faith, she can't marry outside of the Amish
Mm,
faith. So that would be a drawback to
yeah.
she wouldn't if she married someone who wasn't Amish, she wouldn't be able to become Amish herself.
I see. So there's some
That's a
rules there that
no-no.
we,
There
yeah,
are some very big rules, yeah.
absolutely. And before you became an inspirational romance writer, you were a nurse, correct? Before
Yes,
that?
that's true.
Yes. Are there any real life lessons from nursing that you've carried over into your writing? Is there anything that you've taken with you to kind of like get you through a deadline?
Coffee and chocolate.
Yeah.
Coffee and chocolate.
Right?
That's my
Exactly.
go-to for
Yeah.
deadlines.
I hear you.
Black licorice for ordinary writing.
Ah.
But as a nurse, I worked a night shift, and so
Oh
I
wow.
know that I can stay up all night and be productive. And
Yeah.
when I'm on deadline, I often do that. I'll do 24 or 48 hours straight,
Wow.
just writing,
Wow. See, only
and
a nurse could
to
do that.
finish the book.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think yeah,
That's
we kind of have
impressive.
this
Very impressive.
corner on staying up all night and being alert.
Yeah. Um, so before the Amish romances, what other types of romances have you written? I know you've done some other contemporary, and I know there's been some patriotic, like really, nice
Yeah,
Americana type.
yes. My first book that sold was actually based on not based on, but inspired by my career as a neonatal nurse,
Mm,
in which there's a homeless woman who has a premature baby, and it turns out that she's illiterate,
mhm,
but she's ashamed of that and doesn't want anyone to know.
mhm.
And um, some of the girls read it and they said, "Oh, this is too much like being at work. Can we have something else?" And so
Yeah.
the next one I did was a cowboy and with two kids and a cat.
Oh,
And
interesting.
medical, I've done several medical books.
Yeah.
Um, they approached me once about writing a book with a pediatric cardiac surgeon as the main character, and I said, no. I
Yeah.
said, when you know those kind of men, they're not hero material. And she said, no,
Yeah.
no, it's the heroine. I said, well, maybe.
You're like, that's too close to home.
It's fiction. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
I write fiction.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, have you ever collaborated with another author or collaborated like on an anthology? Have you done any kind of stuff like that?
Oh, sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've done several continuities for Harlequin, for
Fantastic.
Love Inspired.
Mhm.
One Love Inspired Suspense, which was I had done two suspense books for them. And it can be a really wonderful experience, or it can be a not so wonderful experience. Not
Yeah.
everybody plays well in the sandbox.
Yeah.
I recently finished an Amish series with two other writers, and
Oh, cool.
that was cool. That was fun.
And what was
Yeah,
the
the
title of that?
Lancaster hmm?
What was the title of that?
Lancaster courtships.
Oh, fantastic.
The Amish Midwife was my one book in that, and I think that actually happens to be my favorite book of all time that I've written.
Oh,
So.
awesome. Yeah, I always ask authors what their favorite book is, and they can't always decide, but I like it that you have your favorite picked out. What is your
Yeah.
favorite part about the book?
Hmm. Well, I told you I do a lot of research, and I decided to
Hmm.
just fall back on my family for this book. And
Yeah.
I have a brother who raises pumpkins, and
Oh, neat.
we get him a T-shirt each year that says "The Great Pumpkin," and he has a pumpkin patch. And I have another brother whose girlfriend is raises dairy goats, and so I combined those two.
Oh,
The
cool.
heroine of the book was a pumpkin farmer, and the hero
Hmm.
of the book was a goat farmer, and
Well, that's
those
fun.
two had a wonderful courtship with his goats escaping and getting into her garden. And it was a running battle for
Oh,
them.
that's fun. So putting some personal family into it is always nice.
Yep, putting some personal family into it.
What are you currently reading right now? Do you have anything that you're kind of trying to read while on deadline or no
Ooh,
time? Which is totally
no, I don't.
understandable.
See, I'm going to have to admit it out here in public. I read very little. I
Hmm.
read for research. And
For research driven,
for
yeah.
fun, I don't really read for fun anymore. I used to. I used to be a voracious reader.
Yeah.
But
Well, you're
for
busy.
right now,
Yeah,
yeah, for right now, I feel guilty if I'm reading and not writing.
true, true. Are there any authors that inspired you to start writing, or what kind of like prompted you to really want to begin this?
Hmm. The author who inspired me to write my own book was one who had and I can't tell you her name, but the ending of her book was atrocious, and I threw it across the room, and I said, I can do better than that. And so I started trying to write a book, and
Hmm.
it's not as easy as one thinks.
Right.
I will say that.
Hmm.
But I am very inspired by Nora Roberts. The woman is incredibly prolific,
Yes.
and she has a great work ethic. And she mentioned once that she doesn't do housework. She just calls someone to come shovel out the house once a month. And that's the kind of life I want to have.
Exactly. Yeah, that is amazing. She's an
Yeah.
inspiration to a lot of authors. We do a lot of chats, and Nora Roberts is usually like number one. She's absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. Um, so what are your upcoming, what's going on in the upcoming 2016? Do you have any like conferences that you go to? Do you kind of like not bother with them? Are you doing any author signings, anything coming up?
I've been busy this month because I had a book out last month and a book
Yeah.
out this month. But for the near future, uh, I don't have any speaking engagements. I would, of course, always like to go to the Romance Writers of America
Yeah,
convention. That's my favorite place to go
absolutely.
and meet the writers and agents and editors, and
Hmm.
so I look forward to that every
Yeah.
year. Don't always get to go, but that's high on my wish list
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
16.
Where is that this year? Romance Writers of America. Is it? I can't
I
remember where it's
think
going to be
it's
held.
in California this year, isn't it? In San Diego?
Yeah, I think you're right. Wow,
I'll have to look it up. Yeah.
that would be amazing. Um, Now, what are three things that
Doesn't matter where it is.
you need next to you while you're writing?
Three things that I need next to me while I'm writing.
Yeah.
Hmm. A mouse, a keyboard, and a monitor.
That's very practical. I like it. You also need chocolate and you need
A lot
black
of coffee.
licorice and coffee.
I need coffee, coffee with cream,
Six essentials,
and
yes.
other than that, yeah, essentials. Excuse
Fantastic.
me.
Um, what advice would you give to a romance author who's looking to get published kind of in this sort of niche genre like Amish romance? Because it's not every day that you see like an Amish romance. It's getting more popular, but what would you say to somebody who wants to write, in this genre?
Hmm. Wow, if someone wants to write an Amish genre, I'd say hmm, you have to be, you have to understand that the Amish are not peculiar people with funny clothes.
Yeah,
They're ordinary people with
exactly.
funny clothes. And that if you're going to write Amish, you need to respect them as humans and not try to make them a caricature. And that's one thing I
Yeah.
try um, very hard to do is to make them people with true conflicts and emotions and family ties. And I think
Yeah.
if you write from the heart with a great deal of respect for the culture, I think you'll have a modicum of success.
Yeah. That's great advice. Thank you. What about other
Sure.
genres that you would want to kind of pursue in the future? Is there anything that you would like to write about that you haven't yet?
Yeah. Well, I have completed Western historical,
Oh,
and I love that book, but I haven't been able to sell it anywhere. My daughter and I collaborated on it,
oh, that's
and
amazing.
I yeah, that was
How
fun,
fun. Yeah.
and I would love to get that in front of the public and get a Western series started.
That's
The
fun.
character, the heroine, is an early paleontologist. She's looking for fossils in the American West, where first were discovered in the 1860s and 80s.
Oh, and she stumbles across a
She's a
cowboy.
fun lady, wicked with a parasol.
Ah, oh, that's awesome. Well, I hope that gets
Yeah.
picked up. I would love to see that. How old is your
Yeah.
daughter?
Oh, my daughter is 40.
Fantastic. So she's like,
Yeah.
is this the
Yeah.
first like interest that she's
My
had in? in writing, or
She's
has
she likes writing vampires and
yes.
science fiction stuff.
Hmm.
She hasn't completed a book of her own yet, but she has a couple of starts. But we worked together on this one, and she has some great ideas. I
Yeah.
have to say, she really has a knack for looking at the hero and pulling out the emotion in the hero.
Hmm. That's
I
amazing.
respect that.
Good for her. Best of luck to her, and I hope to see that.
Yeah,
That
fingers
sounds like a
crossed. Yeah.
great story. Um, can you tell us what you're working on next for anyone who missed? I know you were mentioning kind of what you're working on, but what's the next book that's coming out? What can we expect to see this year from you?
Um, um, I'm working on one called The Amish Fireman, and this is the third book in the series for the Amish Bachelors, and it is the middle brother of this family,
Hmm.
Timothy, and the school teacher, Lillian, and so I hope to have them finished and off to the publisher before the new year.
Yeah.
I'm sure my publisher would like to see it before the new year too. So that's what's in the fire now. There are I'm under contract for several more, and
Hmm.
there will be 6 books in the Amish Bachelor series. The four brothers, and then I have to pick 2 other bachelors in the community, and
Whichever one is
I've
speaking
figured
to
out,
you.
yes, whichever one will be. Someone said in uh, an Amish harvest, they felt sorry for the man. There was a widower with a daughter, and the heroine didn't choose him. She chose someone else over him. And I thought, whoa, why don't I could make him a happily ever after.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll do that.
that's amazing. Do you get
So
a lot of fan
that'll
feedback?
be next. Do I get a lot of fan feedback? Is
Yeah,
that the
like,
question? Yes,
yeah.
I do. I get a fair amount of contact through my Facebook page and emails. People have, mostly they want to know when my next book is coming out.
Yeah.
Um, they're
They can't wait.
people who read Amish fiction are voracious readers. They
Hmm.
really can't seem to get enough of the genre. And gosh, the Amish are such boring people. I don't know where the fascination comes from, but I shall continue to supply them as
Yeah,
fast as I can.
absolutely. Now, here's the last question before we go. What do you want your readers to
Okay.
take away from reading an Amish Noel? Is there any lesson in the book that you kind of want to bring
Hmm.
across?
I want them to come away feeling that people can have a second chance and they can change their lives if they really believe that in themselves and if someone else believes in them.
Hmm.
And I think that that's the true story for Luke was that he needed to believe in himself,
Yeah,
and you really can get a second chance.
yeah.
It really does happen
And what
for
better
people, not
time
just in
than,
fiction.
yeah, what better time than the Christmas season too, to kind of come
In the
together.
Christmas season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, thank you again so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. And
You're so welcome.
yeah, it's been
Fun.
fun. And everybody stop by BookTrib and comment on Patricia's live chat page and enter to win a copy of the book and a custom tote from Litographs. Thanks again, everybody. Take care, Patricia.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Bye. See
Bye,
you later.
guys. Thanks for the questions. Bye bye.